Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to Book Summary 5, the 5-Minute Summary Channel. I'm Sammy, your host. Today, we're diving into Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, published in 1932. This dystopian novel presents a chilling vision of a future society driven by technological advancements and social engineering. Let's dive into the key events and storylines so you'll feel like you've read it cover to cover. Brave New World is set in a futuristic world state where human life is meticulously controlled and conditioned from conception to death. Society is stratified into castes, with each individual's role and status predetermined by genetic engineering and conditioning. The novel opens with a tour of the Central London Hatchery and Conditioning Center, where human embryos are created and developed in artificial wombs. The director of Hatcheries and Conditioning explains the processes of artificial reproduction and the conditioning techniques used to ensure that each caste is content with its predetermined role. The world state operates on the principles of community, identity, and stability. People are conditioned to prioritize consumerism, instant gratification, and social conformity. Emotions and individuality are suppressed through the use of a drug called soma, which provides an escape from any discomfort or unhappiness. Traditional family structures, religion, and personal relationships have been eradicated in favor of promiscuity and state-controlled reproduction. The story follows Bernard Marx, an alpha plus, who feels alienated and dissatisfied with the conformist society. Despite his high status, Bernard is physically smaller and less attractive than his peers, leading to feelings of insecurity and resentment. His unconventional behavior and critical thinking make him an outsider in the highly controlled world. Bernard becomes interested in Lenina Crowne, a beta worker, and persuades her to join him on a trip to the Savage Reservation in New Mexico. Unlike the highly controlled world state, the Savage Reservation is home to people who live according to traditional customs and natural reproduction. There they meet John, known as the Savage, who was born naturally to Linda, a woman originally from the world state who was left behind on the reservation years ago. John is fascinated by the world state but also deeply troubled by its values. He was raised on the reservation with Shakespeare's works as his main source of literature, which gives him a unique perspective on humanity and morality. Bernard sees an opportunity to gain social standing by bringing John and Linda back to London, presenting John as a curious spectacle to his peers. In London, John becomes an object of fascination and curiosity. However, he is horrified by the superficiality and emptiness of the world state society. His mother, Linda, who has been addicted to soma for years, dies shortly after their arrival, further deepening John's disdain for the society that promotes such dependence. John's presence creates a ripple effect, challenging the complacency of the society. He forms a bond with Helmholtz Watson, a talented writer and another alpha plus who feels creatively stifled by the conformist culture. Together, they discuss the limitations of their society and the loss of true human experiences. John's resistance to the world state's norms reaches a climax when he rejects Lenina's advances, expressing his desire for deeper emotional connections and meaningful relationships. This rejection leads to a public confrontation, and John becomes increasingly disillusioned. The novel's climax occurs when John attempts to lead a rebellion against the society by throwing away soma rations, urging people to embrace suffering and individuality. The riot that ensues leads to Bernard, Helmholtz, and John being arrested. Bernard and Helmholtz are exiled to remote islands where they can live among like-minded individuals. Mustafa Mond, one of the world controllers, confronts John in a philosophical debate about the nature of happiness, freedom, and human experience. Mond argues that the stability and happiness of the world state justify the loss of individuality and freedom. John, however, insists on the right to experience pain, suffering, and true emotions. Ultimately, John retreats to an abandoned lighthouse to live in isolation, seeking to purify himself through physical hardship and self-denial. However, his attempt to escape the influences of the world state fails, as curious onlookers and media continue to intrude on his solitude. Overwhelmed by the intrusion and his own inner turmoil, John takes his own life, ending his tragic struggle for individuality and meaning. Brave New World is a powerful critique of a society that sacrifices individuality, freedom, and genuine human experiences for the sake of stability and superficial happiness. Huxley's novel raises important questions about the cost of technological advancement and the value of personal autonomy in a conformist world. Thank you for tuning in to Book Summary 5, the 5-minute summary channel. If you enjoyed this summary, please subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. Until next time, happy reading.